I don't want to give my secrets away, so I can't even work on that. I gotta put my reading glasses on here. Hope I won't get in the way, will it?
No, I'm gonna move around you too, so I'll just kind of ignore me.
Okay. So treat you like an ex-wife. I always start off with light pencils, work my way up darker. This is a 4H, it's pretty light. Then I go from a 2H or an H depending on where I want to go at. Get my darker ones in. I always keep my hand off of the graphite so it don't smear. Very important, you don't want to smear your graphite. And I've done instructional videos before, and so I usually talk. People tell me I'm the Bob Ross of pencils. Just go with the direction the feathers are going down, so we won't go down with it. I don't teach like a traditional art class. They want to do certain things a certain way, and sometimes art is very subjective. Art's however you want to make it to be. There's no right way or wrong way. Hope you don't mind my talking while I'm doing it.
No, you're good.
Tell me to shut up, I don't care. But I found that, I went to different classes, and they said there's a certain way to do this and a certain way to do that. And I said, art's what you want to make of it. If you want to smear and blend graphite, which I do, I'll blend graphite in. Some people may not like that. It works for me. And that's one thing I like about art and music is you got to find what works for you. Like genres of music. Not everybody's into country. But so I'm just trying to help people find what works for them. So like I said, I use a 4H for that, and then I go in and I use a different 2H's of a darker pencil. And I work in layers. Start with the lightest one first and work my way up. That's what I do with all the other ones. Go in and add some darkers in it. That's how I go about getting the shadows in his eyes. And then I use a very small eraser to where if I wanted to add a streak of highlight, I can just take it and just streak it in like that. Or if I really wanted to highlight, really real big highlight, I use a battery operated eraser where I can just go in and just touch it. And then I brush it off. That gives me the highlight I really want. A lot of times people will draw the highlight in, or they'll leave a spot. And I'm finding, as I teach art, is use your eraser to get the highlight in. It works a lot easier and it's a lot cleaner. But then work with, if I want to go to a darker one, I can go to B's, or there's an H. So I've got a 4H, 2H, and I can go in and get darker with an H. So give them more shadows inside. So I'm going to do it wherever there's light, there's always going to be a shadow. Always keep your hand off of the paper. It makes it white pop better when you got some darks behind it. If I wanted to blend it in, once I get that in there, I can take a smaller stomp or tortilla and then just kind of blend it down. Kind of smooths it out. So that's how I do all my drawings. Is then when I scan it off, I see if it's by scanning of the digital. It's like, is it where I want it to be at by looking at it on the screen? And if it's not, I go back to my original again and rework it. Get it to be lighter or darker. And sometimes I use a kneaded eraser. It's kind of like silly putty back in our day. And it gives a softer eraser, very soft. So if I want to highlight some more, Right that way. What do you think?
I'm just gonna grab a couple more minutes.
Yeah.
So the silly putty?
Yeah, this is the kneaded eraser, and that's how you clean it. You just pull it, and you know, it cleans that way. But what it does is, if you wanted to have more of a softer, a light source, you can always just go in there and just barely brush it, and you can see the light sources coming across there. Or if you wanted to kind of like, well, let's have a light source there. You can kind of see it. I mean, it's hard to see when it's very light to begin with, but you see it against the darker ones here more. But if I want a darker, if I want a real hard light source, I can use my smaller eraser here, and it's kind of, fishes with feathers just kind of pick at my light source like that. You know, you can see where it's harder. It's a harder light source that way. But if I want a softer one, I use my kneaded eraser and just kind of soften it down some. That's how I do most of my portraits anymore. So maybe I want a hard eraser, a hard light source. Maybe I want a softer one. It depends. But then I can go in there, because every time there's a light source, there's always going to be some shadows in there. So you want to make sure that area is on the opposite side of the light source is darker to really accentuate that light.
So,
How's that sounding?
good.
Okay. Or you might want to start off something like in here. I can start off in here, H. This is just a typical H pencil. The number 2 pencils are HB blend, and this is lighter than this is lighter than a number 2 pencil. Maybe I want to start with darker if I want, but if I know my shadow's gonna be very hard, then I go down to 2H. It's a 2H, and pull H 2H, because the number of the H is 2H is lighter than H, 4H is lighter than 2H. So if I want to go down, I can pull the 2H down there to this. Maybe I want to go down some more, I can put a 4H in it and blend it down more that way. And when you see it's getting lighter. So if I want to work in shadows, I could do that. And then if I wanted, and some schools will say don't blend with graphite. And I'll tell you, if you're in art, you want to do it the way you want to do it anyway. There's no right way or wrong way. I can blend it down. And it looks more smooth that way.
Yeah, you seem to know what you're doing.
Thank you.
That's neat. So when you're doing that, when you start with a blank piece of paper,
Well, I draw by photographs, as you can see them on my Johnny Cash there. And these up here, I entered these two in the National Veterans Creative Arts Festival last year. They got blue ribbons, but they didn't go past locally. And this is my 11-year-old. He's 11-year-old now. This is when my 11-year-old was 2, and he gets this face. I don't know if you remember what you talking about, Willis. You know I don't know the old program show, but you know he looked like got a little mischievous in it. And but what he was wearing green hat and green shirt, and his eyes were green. I said, I really love how that green pops. So I really wanted that to come out in his eyes. And this here is one of my 7-year-old daughters. She's 7 years old now. And I've done this with, like I said, the same technique I'm using here is making the lights and the shadows blend together. And both of them came first place, but they didn't get farther than that. Sorry.
No, you're good. So that he was 2.
Yeah, he was around 2. He's 11-year-old now. He'll be 12 this year. And I entered that one in last year under the colored pieces. It won first place locally, but didn't go any further. And this is my daughter. She's 7 now, and this is when she's about a little over 1. And one thing I love about hand-drawn artwork is no matter what genre you're at, it's still somebody took time to draw it. It's not a computer app. You know, it's something you can whip out in 5 minutes. It takes time, and I think these took me about 3 or 4 days a piece to do. But when they get older, they're going to appreciate it, I hope. And that's one thing I hope with this program is you don't really know when you're teaching art and music, not only will it help the veteran, but it can also help the veteran's family. If you teach a veteran, whether it be a male or female, how to draw or paint, and they want to do their kids, well, their kids are going to be love it. Mom and dad did this, or dad did this, you know, so it's going to affect generations to come, and that's what I'm hoping on doing, is affecting them in a positive way.
Yeah.
You know, it's like this in here. I did this one in 2016 in graphite, and she's 5 now. She was about 2 there, and that's my granddaughter Lydia.
You captured the eyes perfectly
Thank you.
on that. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna have you show me some of your cartoons.
Okay. Me kind of explain to them as I go.
Yeah.
Well, I'm like the old. I like the old retro comics and that. So I wanted something that would reflect that in black and white. So I done this one, of course, with Batman. But I really like the way expressions is, and I use a lot of the H's as I was describing earlier. But with the contrast with the H's of his uniform and his cape, I wanted the dark B's to be behind him, so it makes him stand out more. And the same way this here, this is, I think, the new movie Captain Marvel. I think she's a new one coming out. This is a cartoon version of Captain Marvel. And again, I wanted the softness of the H's with the face and the skin tones contrasted against the B's, or the darkers of her outfit. Hope I got that pulled out pretty good. Same like here with this is Black Cat. I wanted the softness of her skin tone to bounce off against the shiny of some of the leather, and that's really hard to get that leather right in graphite.
Yeah, I bet.
And then, of course, I think with the Joker, and I think a lot of people like the Joker and Harley Quinn because they have a lot of balance. We all can relate to them in some ways or another. So I wanted to kind of pull both of them together. A lot of people really like the way I do it Harley Quinn, so I said, well, I got to do the Joker to balance that off. So I'm really hoping that worked out. This one here I'm really, really proud of. I grew up in the 70s with Linda Carter as Wonder Woman. And when these comic books, the Comic Cons I'm going to, I want to kind of give more of a retro look instead of these newer. No, don't get me wrong. Everybody's got their favorites, but you know, I want to give a tribute back to the older ones. And this is a comic. This is a color version of Linda Carter. So that's some of the comic style work that I have.
Let me see the colored version again.
Yeah.
I just want to get some video of it.
Done that one in 2015. They might be doing it again, but I really like the way the eyes come out on that. So sometimes you just got to look at it and think, yeah, that's it.
Oops, tripping over my own stuff. And then show me some of that your other work too.
These here are original drawings that I've already done that people have bought. So I make prints off of them. Of course, we all know who Johnny Cash is. And I wanted to make sure to put him in, it looked like he's in a magazine cover. So I found the template online of Time. So I'm got that together like that. And here's one I've done the lighthouses in Michigan, starting with the Little Point Sauble, Big Point Sauble, and Ludington. Little Point Sauble, that's in their Silver Lake. And I think this is Whitehall and Big Point Sauble here. And both these are here done in graphite, and these down here done with markers and color pencils. And people have asked me if I do dogs. This here I done in 2015. I said, well, I want to do a better version, so I'm working on doing. That's a dog that's downstairs, and so these other ones I've done for other customers. But I like drawing faces of any type of animal because the eyes. If you get the eyes right, they speak to you. So and that's like this one here. I think I like the way the lights and shadows bounce off the eyes. I don't know if you can see it without it getting a glare. This one here, the original of this eagle, I got to tell a story on this one. A captain in the Army actually bought this original. And it surprised me. Wow, you know, a captain paid $150 for this original eagle. So I sent him that in a print too, just because he's in the service, give him more. And I do want to show this. This is not an artwork, but this is some of the things I've done. This is the thing I showed you earlier. This picture here, the top left, is when I was played in Jackson, with the National Veterans Creative Arts. And this over here is when I was in Des Moines, Iowa. I played the banjo. So I believe if I can help other veterans, they can achieve wherever they want to go. If they want to take it national, they can go national. If they don't, they just want to be a back home picker. Whatever they want to go at, that's what I'll help them get there. So, is that okay?
Yeah, perfect. You want to play?
Sure, I'll go here.
I got some setting up to do.
Okay.
So, do you just want to use this green chair to sit on, or do you stand, or?
That's how I see it.
Okay.
I used to stand when I'm in my band, but I can't do it anymore.
I'll be right back in.